back home. A storm that brought snow to the nation's midsection is now causing travel headaches in the mid-Atlantic from the Carolinas up through New Jersey. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze is in D.C., which is going to be shoveling out today.
This winter weather follows a New Year's Day storm system that brought heavy snow and flooding rains to several states. In Kansas, low visibility causing multiple car crashes. Life-threatening flash flooding slamming parts of Arkansas. Those same areas now battered by heavy sleet and freezing temperatures. Slick roads in eastern Arkansas causing several accidents on I-40.
Combine the weather with COVID-related personnel shortages, and it all adds up to more than 1,700 U.S. flights that have been already canceled this morning. Over 600 more delayed. The Omicron variant leading to a surge of COVID infections.
The U.S. is seeing an average of nearly 400,000 new daily COVID cases nationwide, with hospitalizations approaching 100,000. Testing is still in high demand as well. One of the largest testing companies in the country, Quest Diagnostics, tells ABC News their turnaround for results has stretched up to 3 days from the average 1 day.
ABC's M. Nguyen, the silver lining, hospitalizations are up only 30% and new deaths are actually down 4%. Israel announcing its first case of flu-rona. That's what they're calling a rare mix of influenza and coronavirus combined. The patient's symptoms said to be mild. Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney on the committee investigating the January 6th Capitol attack, saying they now have firsthand account of President Trump's whereabouts during the riot.
We have firsthand testimony that his daughter Ivanka went in at least twice to ask him to please stop this violence.
And that the president declined. She's calling it a dereliction of duty. You're listening to ABC News.
With the stock market at all-time highs, cash in your profits now and invest in an asset that can potentially pay for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC-defined accredited investor, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects. Call now to learn how you can potentially achieve 20 or more years of income and deduct 100% of every dollar invested against all forms of income. Call 1-800-278-7455. Invest in your future and buy oil. Encore is drilling in an area that is potentially one of the most prolific horizontal oil plays in the entire country. Oil prices are projected to rise, so you need to own a piece of an oil field. Encore Energy is the most active oil and gas operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 1-800-278-7455. You'll be calling directly to the home office of Encore Energy. That's 1-800-278-7455. Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary.
In Colorado, a search continues for two people now feared dead following huge wildfires between Boulder and Denver. Boulder County Sheriff Joe Pelley says snow is blanketing what once were entire neighborhoods.
The scenes are still hot. They're still, deep in debris, hot debris, covered with snow. So it's a very difficult task.
Pelley says canines are assisting in the search. Nearly 1,000 homes were destroyed. In San Jose, California, it's back to verdict watch as the jurors in the Elizabeth Holmes trial return to work today.
The jury of 8 men and 4 women will resume deliberating after an extended New Year's weekend. The panel was unable to reach a verdict last week and were given Thursday and Friday off. Now they're back at it, weighing the fate of former Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes, who faces 11 criminal charges for allegedly duping investors and patients about her company's blood testing technology. The jurors have deliberated about 40 hours so far over 6 days. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
Verizon and AT&T are going ahead with their 5G rollout this week, rejecting a request from the U.S. government to hold off. Washington is worried the new wireless service could interfere with cockpit electronic systems, but the two companies do say they're willing to limit service for 6 months around certain airport runways while the Federal Aviation Administration studies the issue. This is ABC News.
Are you more than $10,000 in debt? Feel like you're on a never-ending treadmill, staying in one place and never getting ahead with those minimum payments? You feel like there's no way out? Don't let the credit card companies bully you anymore. There are programs in place to help you get free of your debt, and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. The program at Total Financial Freedom can help you get debt-free in months instead of decades. Call Total Financial now at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605.
Dave Packer, ABC News.
The reasons more and more people are coming to NC Tractor to do business are the selection of Massey Ferguson tractors, Bobcat zero-turn mowers, fantastic customer service, and the special Phil Sheehan seasonal discounts. NC Tractor on Railroad Avenue in Rutherford is making dreams come true for folks who want the rest.
We're tracking temperatures today to make their way into the upper 30s and lower 40s. Going to be a chilly one as we get rain to transition into snow showers, and that is going to stick across areas along the North Carolina and Virginia border. So watch for some of those slick bridges today. It's also going to be a windy one with winds gusting around 45 miles per hour. We do anticipate all this to gradually die down as we head into the afternoon. I'm meteorologist Peter Sherwood in the Weather Center.
Well, we're starting the new year off with some crazy, crazy weather. It rained all night, wind blew all night. We have snow up in the mountains. We have a possibility of freezing temperatures tonight. Right now it's 42, raining outside, high winds, and we're under a wind advisory until about noon today. Happy New Year, everybody. Tonight, 21 degrees, and then tomorrow, 46, about where we are right now. And then back down to 27 tomorrow night. So it's going to be cold at nighttime and windy throughout the day. Winter weather advisory is in effect from 10 o'clock last night to 12 o'clock today for Cherokee, Clay, Macon, Transylvania, Henderson, Polk, Rutherford, McDowell counties, and there may be higher elevations up around the Yancey, Madison, Haywood counties, Buncombe County, Swain, Graham. They may have some snow up that way. Generally 3 to 5 inches is expected, but it may be too wet on the ground for it to stick. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But that wind last night was some kind of crazy wind, wasn't it? At the wind advisory in effect until about noon today. But we're glad you're here. Glad you survived New Year's Eve, ready for a brand new 2022. Now I have these death announcements this morning. Jason Dean Van Dyke, 44, of Bostic, died Saturday, December 25th. Arrangements are incomplete and will be announced by Washburn and Dorsey Funeral and Cremation Service. Again, that's Jason Dean Van Dyke. Jody Carolyn Harriman, 27, of Bostic, died Friday, December 31st. Those arrangements incomplete and will be announced by Washburn and Dorsey Funeral and Cremation Service. And again, that's Jody Carolyn Harriman. Joyce Waters McFarland, 94, of the Hopeville community, died Wednesday, December 29th. Arrangements are incomplete and will be announced by Washburn and Dorsey Funeral and Cremation Service for Joyce Waters McFarland. December 31st, Nancy Elizabeth Higgins Radford died, and the arrangements, let me see here, if at graveside service will be held at 3 o'clock today at Shiloh Baptist Church Cemetery. And Crow's Mortuary is assisting the family of Nancy Elizabeth Higgins Radford. Christine Mace Epley, age 72, of Forest City, passed away Friday, December 31st, at her residence. Graveside service will be conducted at 2 o'clock Wednesday, January the 5th, at Robertson Creek Free Will Baptist Church Cemetery. Family will receive friends from 6 until 8 o'clock Tuesday at the funeral home. Harrelson Funeral Home, serving the family of Christine Mace Epley. Joyce Tate Costner, age 96, of Raleigh, passed away January 1st at her home. The funeral service will be conducted at 11:30 Thursday, January the 4th, at Harrelson Funeral Chapel. Burial will follow in Rutherford County Memorial Cemetery. Family will receive friends at 11 prior to the service at the funeral home. Harrelson Funeral Home, serving the family of Joyce Tate Costner. Joyce Charles Yeldon, age 80, passed away Friday, December 31st at Colonial Manor. A memorial service will be held 3 p.m. Tuesday, January the 4th at Crow's Funeral Chapel. Family will receive friends 1 hour prior to the service. Crow's Mortuary assisting the family of George Charles Yeldon. Larry Brown, age 70, passed away December 17th at Adrium Health, Cabarrus, after lengthy illness. A memorial mass will be held at Immaculate Conception Roman Catholic Church at 12 noon Saturday, January the 8th. And a continuation of celebration of Larry's life will be at Chapel of the Paget King Mortuary at 1 o'clock on Saturday, January the 8th. Paget King serving the family of Larry Brown. Sarah Dunham Doster passed away December 22nd at the age of 92. Memorial service is planned for the spring and Crow's Mortuary is assisting the family of Sarah Doster. Danny L. Geddes, 75, of Forest City, died Friday, December 31st at his home. No formal services are planned for Danny Gaddis. The Paget King Mortuary is serving the family of Danny L. Gaddis. Lawrence Wayne Strader, age 68, passed away Saturday, January the 1st, at his residence. A family gathering will be held on a date to be announced later by Harrelson Funeral Home for Larry Wayne Strader.
.com.
Hey, this is Mike Slater in San Diego, filling in for the great Bill O'Reilly. On this Monday morning, I am thinking about sweet Mayfield, Kentucky. Population 10,000 people. 80 people were killed across Kentucky from that tornado on December 10th. 8 of them were in Mayfield. That tornado swept right through town, destroyed down to rubble 2 churches. They were right across the street from each other. But that did not stop the congregations this Christmas. They gathered together in the parking lot between the 2 churches and held an outside service on Christmas Eve, lit by generator-powered lights and candles, of course. See, true believers, nothing can stop them. False believers, the slightest things can stop them. But for true believers, nothing can stop them. So who are you? Are you a person of conviction? Or are you an infant, tossed back and forth by the waves, blown here and there by every wind of teaching and by the cunning and craftiness of people in their deceitful scheming? Make a conviction to not be that person anymore. Gather the strength from the people of Mayfield, Kentucky, and know that the church is never just a building. As the senior pastor of one of the churches said, I've said all week, you see what's standing on this parking lot? This is the church, right here. And of course, one of the few things that stayed standing in one of those church buildings was a cross. And the pastor ended the service on Christmas Eve saying, go in peace and share the light and love of Christ. Having a building is merely optional. More coming up.
Investors, are you sitting on capital or wanting to diversify? The NRIA Real Estate Development Fund provides returns right now. They capitalize on strategic markets. They offer steady monthly payouts plus double-digit annualized returns. As 15-year industry leaders, they've seen it all. Start your due diligence at nria.net or call 800-800-1414. That's easy. 800-800-1414.
An offer of securities is only made by the NRIA Private Placement Memorandum. Read it first. Past performance does not guarantee future results. NRIA is a real estate development firm. Learn more at nria.net.
MikeSlater.locals.com. This has been the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. See you tomorrow.
Saving money is easy when you shop at Jay's Discount Grocery. From snack foods to vegetables, fresh fruits to fresh cut meats, paper products, cleaning supplies, dog food, and so much more. You know, you just never know what you'll find at Jay's. So shop and save today. They're located at 671 Oak Street in Forest City, right beside the Hospice Resale Store. You know, when you shop at Jay's, you always walk out with money left over in your pocket.
For a delicious meal every day, call on Gregory's Original. Choose from their top menu of burgers, subs, grinders, pasta dishes, fresh salads, and so much more. All dishes are prepared fresh daily. Hours are Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. until 9 p.m., Saturday, noon until 9 p.m. Now at Gregory's, try the family-style meals. The dining room is now open, but curbside and takeout is still available. Enjoy lunch or dinner today with your favorite meal from Gregory's. Call 287-2171, located in the Park Lane Plaza in Rutherford's Gregory's Original.
WCAB, Rutherfordton.
As a young man, Perry Owens migrated west, ending up in the Arizona Territory. He carried a Winchester rifle and one and sometimes 2 pistols. Perry Owens stood about 5'10". He wore his hair long, often down to his waist. It wasn't unusual to see him in fancy clothes. On January 1, 1887, Perry Owens became the sheriff of Apache County in the northeastern section of the Arizona Territory. At this time, the Graham-Tewksbury feud was taking place, which incidentally was the western equivalent to the South's Hatfields and McCoys. Being pulled into the middle of the Graham-Tewksbury feud, Perry had a warrant for the arrest of Andy Cooper, a member of the Graham faction. As Perry, rifle in hand, walked up to the house where Andy was staying, Andy came out with pistol in hand. At the same time, Johnny Blevins came around the corner of the house. Owens and Cooper fired at the same time. Cooper missed. Perry Owens didn't. A third man, Mose Roberts, appeared at the door and was shot instantly. Johnny Blevins from the corner of the house shot and missed. Perry returned fire and hit his target. Johnny Blevins' younger brother then appeared with a pistol. One shot from Perry's rifle did him in. In a matter of seconds, Perry took out 4 men without receiving a single scratch. From that time forward, Perry Owens could have walked down Main Street in a dress and sunbonnet, and everyone would have called him Sir. You've just heard another story from Old West Radio. I'm Dakota Livesay.
Jesse James Railroad Express has added 2 new sandwiches to their menu. Try the all-new crispy chicken sandwich with lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise, or the crispy deluxe with lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, bacon, and cheese. And now, the new beer-battered fish sandwich. All come with sides. Enjoy a refreshing milkshake or a hand-dipped ice cream cone. Open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. Closed Wednesday and Sunday. Jesse James Railroad Express, 531 Railroad Avenue in Rutherford. Call 828-447-4644. Mondays only, hot dog with mustard, chili, and onions for only $1.24 each. All aboard the Jesse James Railroad Express.
The 16 minutes after 7 o'clock, when we kicked in a brand new year over the weekend, let's find out what kind of activities took place that should not have taken place. We'll go to the Sheriff's Department first. And Officer King, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing today, Jim?
Doing very well. It's been a rough weather morning, hasn't it?
Yes, sir. Windy, cold, and wet.
Yes. And higher elevations, they're getting some of that white stuff falling this morning, so I don't know what's going to happen.
I wish we'd get a little bit of it.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? What's been going on over the weekend?
In the past 48 hours, sheriff's officer responded to 248 calls for service. There were 12 arrests processed in the jail, and the jail currently has 160 people incarcerated. On our incident reports, Jonah Adkins from Old 74 Highway in Bostic reported damage to property. Gavin Boggs from Lookout Drive in Forest City reported misdemeanor larceny. And Randy Brown from Ledford Road in Ellenboro reported damage to property. On our arrest reports, Travell Shade from Glover Road in Ellenboro was arrested, charged with possession of firearm by felon. No bond listed at this time on that one. Danielle Calamai from Dean Lane in Newland, North Carolina, was served with warrants for possession of a controlled substance in jail or prison and a misdemeanor probation violation. Received a $2,000 unsecured bond. And Joshua Barden from Highway 108 in Rutherford was served with a failure to appear on misdemeanor. Received a $500 secured bond. That's all we have for today.
Officer King, thank you very much. I hope you have a safe day and keep your eyes open, and we'll check back in with you later.
All right, have a good one, Jim.
Yeah, bye-bye. 18 minutes after 7 o'clock.
Hey folks, you know, Farmer's Friend Feed Seed Supply is an amazing store. I can say that because they have what you need. From pet supplies to fire and ant killer to horse quality Timothy alfalfa hay, $14 per bale. Attention carp fishermen, they have C&J flavoring, only $8 per bottle. And they have oats for sale. Refill your propane tanks at the lowest price. Fully stocked with all your deer supplies and a great selection of farm implements. Need mulch? $12 per scoop. We could call it a superstore. Farmer's Friend Feed Seed Supply, 188 Whiteside Road in Rutherford. It can be a tough call when it comes time to provide a daycare service for an aging parent or a loved one. You can always depend on Rutherford Life Services for a safe facility that offers medical monitoring, nutritional meals, fun activities, and is a loving environment. Rutherford Life is licensed by the State of North Carolina Division of Aging. They will be glad to answer any questions you may have. Call them at 288-1697. Rutherford Life Services offers a trained staff of professionals who you can entrust your loved one to. Rutherford Life Services is located at 230 Fairground Road in Spindale.
Here's Stacy now reporting from 911 Communications Center. Stacy, good morning.
Good morning.
What's on the report?
In the past 48 hours, Rutherford County Sheriff's Office 911 Communications Centers processed 758 911 calls, administrative calls, which consist of 116 for EMS and law enforcement. Sheriff's Office 248 calls, Forest City 93, Rutherford 80, Legore 6, and Spindale 86. Under fire calls, dispatched Ballstick to motor vehicle accident, Cherry Mountain to a brush fire, Cliffside to a fire alarm, and a structure fire assisted by Sandy Mush SDO in Ellenboro. Ellenboro to a residential fire alarm, Forest City to a motor vehicle accident, fire alarm and a power line fire, Green Hill to a fire alarm, Hudlow to a motor vehicle accident, Rutherford to a structure fire assisted by Spindale and Hudlow, Sandy Mush to a residential fire alarm, SDO to a motor vehicle accident, power line, and Union Mills to a carbon monoxide leak, and that's all we have.
I appreciate it very much. You have a great day.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, Washburn General Store, they are closed for a few days until January the 10th for a much-needed rest. They worked pretty diligently over the holidays, getting many of us fixed up for Christmas gift giving, so they're taking some time off and resting. So they will be closed until next Monday. So keep that in mind, and if you're planning on going over there, wait until Monday and then head on over there. They'll be glad to fix you right up and take care of your ever-loving needs. They do have a wonderful, wonderful store there, and many of you took advantage of the opportunity to shop there for Christmas, and we thank you. Ruby Taylor is up next. She has a report from the SDO Fire District. Ruby, good morning.
Good morning.
What's on the report?
They assisted Cliffside on a structure fire, and they also had a vehicle accident. And on my birthday calendar, I got Jim Robbins having birthday today, and hope he has a nice day. And the Sandra in the Lakes today and tomorrow. And that's all I've got, Jim.
Thanks, Ruby. Enjoy your day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Let me brag on Hutchins Pest Control a minute. Don't let the pest bug you when Hutchins Pest Control is as close as a phone call. Honest, dependable, professional, and on-time service may be the reason they keep getting voted best pest control. If you have a pest problem, call this family-run business at 287-5171. Licensed in North and South Carolina and fully insured and bonded. Get a free estimate when you call Hutchins Pest Control and be sure the job is done right. That's Hutchins Pest Control. Call them today at 287-5171 and they'll be right there. Well, let's see what kind of weather they're having up in the mountains. Gary Wilson's on top of things there at the Fairfield Mountains Fire District. Gary, how's it going up there?
Well, it's going pretty good. Getting rain all night long, but the temperature's holding its head up for right now. That's a good thing. It's about 38 degrees up here. Dropped about 5 degrees in the last hour, though, so it's dropped down pretty quick.
Get a lot of wind, too?
No, we're not getting any wind here like they are. They must be getting something down around Ellenboro and Bostic down through there, because I've heard several calls down in there this morning over the radio for trees and power lines down. But so far up here, we've not had that. But
good.
They are calling for 20 to 30 mile-an-hour winds, and starting to pick up a little bit up here now. I can see the trees moving out there some, so we may have some issues from that before the day's over with.
Well, we're under a wind advisory until about noon here for this area, so that tells us there may be some heavy winds yet.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Ground's pretty wet right now. It's been raining since about 11 o'clock last night. We got over an inch of rain and coming down pretty strong right now. But like the guy said yesterday, it's about 62 degrees, so I guess I have to turn the AC off in the morning when the snow starts. This weather's something else. If you don't like it now, come back in 30 minutes, it'll change again, probably.
I know it. This year's starting off kind of strange, though, the weather, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We had one call over the weekend. That was New Year's Day, and that was for a power line that was hit with a limb, and it was hanging low over the bridge over here, having the main road block coming into Fairfield for about 2 hours. So we got Duke Power out here, and our department, Lake Lewis, over there directing traffic for about 2 hours. That's the only call we've had so far, and I hope I can say that again tomorrow, but I got a feeling we're probably going to have a few today.
Yeah,
It's supposed to get down to about 25 tonight. So
that's exactly
I hope
right.
we get enough room to drive the roads out, so we don't have no black ice to deal with anymore.
Well, I'll tell you, that rain when I came in, the rain was so heavy this morning. There was puddles all over the road. You could easily hydroplane if you're going with too much speed. So folks need to be careful out there.
They need to. They slow down and watch out, because if we start getting these winds, then we're going to have some issues later today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's about all we got up here this morning so far, Jim.
All right, Gary, thanks for keeping us posted, and I will check back in with you tomorrow.
All right, see you then.
Bye.
Does your financial advisor take the time to really listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized for you and your family? Will your financial advisor be there as your life and financial situation change? Hi, I'm Andrew Tisdale, your local Edward Jones financial advisor. When we work together, we focus what's important to you. We create a personalized strategy backed by our advice, our tools, and resources to help you reach your goals. And we partner together to help your strategy stay on track no matter what happens. Contact me at any time at 828-287-9197. We'll sit down, talk, and we're going to make a strategy that's right for you.
Thank you, Andrew. Now let's head to Bostic, and DeVern Upton is on the phone to tell us what happened over there over the weekend in Bostic area. Good morning.
Good morning. Did you see any snow this morning?
I did not see any snow. I saw a lot of rain, though.
Oh, yes. Well, over here in Bostic, the temperature is 42. We had rain all night. It's getting a little windy. The fire department responded to one medical call. The fire department has their monthly meeting tonight at 6. If you're interested in joining, come talk to the officers. Town hall meeting is tonight at 5:30. If you want to know about your town, come and see what they're going to be discussing tonight. That way you can put your input into it as the new year starts out. Our mayor is Mitch Harrell. Our town council is Keith Dobbins, Shane Upton, Wesley Flynn, Billy Lattimore, and Mike Hollifield. Today we have one birthday in Bostic, and that's Mike Flynn. He's a former firefighter. We want to wish him a blessed day. Also, his great-grandson is being born today, and that's a wonderful birthday present.
Oh, boy.
Hope everybody stays safe today.
Thanks, DeVern. I appreciate the news, and you stay with us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye. 7:27. We're moving around the county pretty fast on this first Monday of the brand new year. Weekend rolled in here, brand new year rolled in, and we saw the old man stumble out and the little baby come in. So we hope this new year is going to be an exciting one and a safe one, and everybody can get their resolutions resolved and taken care of. We'll see how all that works out. Next phone call in just a moment.
Thinking about the departure of a loved one through death is a subject we don't like to talk about. However, pre-planning or prepaying for a funeral is a consideration and responsible thing to do. With so many options available today, it's important to speak with someone you can trust and someone who can help you find a balance between the emotional, spiritual, and financial needs of your loved ones. Crow's Mortuary and Crematory is recognized as one of the best family-run funeral homes. It's a family tradition, and they know how to care for your family. Any questions you might have, they will be happy to answer. Call Crow's Mortuary and Cremation Services at 286-2304.
Well, UNC beat Boston College over the weekend on Sunday, 91-65. Good win there for UNC. And we'll see what happens tonight. We have Herbert Davis live at 7 tonight. Talk about all those games. Well, let's head to Hudlow Fire District. Bob Hodge, good morning. How's your year going so far?
Well, so far it's been windy, rainy, and all of that so far this morning up here. But I tell you, that winds are really whipping around out there this morning.
Really, I was got a little concerned coming in. I was afraid I was going to run into limbs in the road and trees pulled up, but I didn't see any of that. Of course, it's still dark and rainy. I couldn't see much.
Yeah, well, you just have to be careful out there this morning. But I tell you, the temperature's been dropping all morning, too.
It has.
It's getting down there in the upper 30s now, so when I got up this morning, it's 50, so it's really dropped pretty fast.
Be around 21 tonight, so we'll have to really expect all this stuff to freeze.
That's right. Plenty of wet stuff's on the road or around. It'll freeze tonight. And Jim, up here with the fire department over the weekend and this morning, we've answered a medical call, assisted rafting on a structure fire, a vehicle accident call over Ballpark Road and Ross Road. And earlier this morning, we had a power line fire on Sandy Level Church Road. And that's about it so far with the fire department. And if that wind keeps blowing, we might have some more power lines down.
Yeah, I'm afraid of that. I would like to, in the morning, I'd like to say, well, everything was quiet overnight, but I'm afraid that's not going to be the case.
That's right, there. Sure is there. But everybody just be careful if you have to get out this morning, and everything, because it's rough for next couple hours anyway. But I think by dinner time they talk like it's going to move out, and we just don't have cold weather there. So
yeah, that's right. So pull out your long johns now. You're gonna need those tonight.
That's right. Throw another dog on the bed or something there. Well, Jim, you take care.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too, and I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Bye-bye.
You can go ahead.
Farm Bureau Insurance doesn't hire celebrities to push auto coverage. We think people might like to make decisions based on service and savings, not just because that guy from that show says it's a good idea. Instead of faces you know from your TV, we offer faces you know from your neighborhood, because we're headquartered in North Carolina with local agents right in your town. That's really the only thing we want to be famous for. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
In Rutherford County, please call 287-2428.
North Carolina Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Insurance of North Carolina, Inc., Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
Well, if you're heading west up toward the mountains beyond Asheville, you may want to check the weather before you leave. There is a winter storm warning in effect until 12 o'clock today for Buncombe, Avery, Madison, Yancey, Mitchell, Haywood counties, and above 3,500 feet in Swain, Graham, and northern Jackson counties. A general 3 to 5 inches is expected across those areas today. Elevations over 5,000 feet should pick up the most snow. Expect a good 4 to 8 inches in those spots. Winds will gust up to 40 miles per hour in those higher elevations. Now for us here, a winter weather advisory is in effect until 12 noon today for Transylvania, Henderson, Polk, Rutherford, and McDowell counties, and elevations below 3,500 across Swain, Graham, southern Jackson counties. A general 1 inch to 3 inches expected across the advisory area. We're not expecting to get much of that because of the wetness of the ground, but we've had a lot of rain, puddles out there. So just be careful if you're traveling up north there, west. Just be sure you check the weather and the road conditions before you head out. Now here's Sue Price reporting from Cherry Mountain Fire District. Good morning, Sue.
Good morning, Jim.
Is it raining over there your way?
It is. I think it's rained all night.
Yeah, I think so.
But we'll just take what comes and go with it, I guess. I hope we don't get too much wind, but I don't want no power off. I do pretty good as long as the power stays on.
Yeah, I don't want any of the power to go off.
No, but we never know. And let's see, the fire department had one brush fire now. I don't know when that was, with all this rain, but anyway, that's what they had. And I don't have a single birthday or anniversary today. I don't have one of my calendars, but I don't have anything on the others, so nobody's celebrating that I know of. But we hope anybody that's having a birthday or anniversary will have a real good day on their special day. And I don't have any announcements that I know of. It's just quiet and calm over this way. We're looking for a good day in spite of the weather, and I hope you'll have one, Jim.
Well, it's a good day to go back to bed, Sue.
It is.
Yeah. So you have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Bye-bye.
Another season has come and gone, and you're still looking at that same sad-looking sofa or recliner. Well, now's the time to change the inside of your home to look as pretty as colors outside. And the perfect place to start is the Recliner Center. Right now at the Recliner Center, everything is 20% off. That's 20% off sofas, recliners, sofa recliners. If someone you love is having trouble standing, the Recliner Center has all lift chairs on sale for 10% off. All lift chairs, 10% off. Now, some of these chairs can take you from a standing position, then safely back down to a sitting position with no effort on your part whatsoever. Angela is cleaning out merchandise to make room for more. So now's your chance to redecorate your home and take advantage of the great savings at the Recliner Center. All lift chairs, 10% off. Everything else is 20% off. Angela is seeing folks by appointment only, so call 828-395-3562. Call her today. The Recliner Center. They're on Coopers Gap Road in Rutherfordton.
Here's Tina White now reporting from Shingle Hollow Fire District. Shingle Hollow still on the map up there, Tina? It didn't blow off last night, did it?
Came close to blowing off. I'm telling you, early this morning the wind blew and woke me up, and I've been up since then.
Well, when I got up this morning, it was blowing real hard and rain. Then I heard a boom sound somewhere close by, and I couldn't figure out what that was, and never did see anything, or no fire or anything like that. But there was some boom somewhere in my neighborhood. So didn't know what.
If you sounds like you were up here in Shingle Hollow, because there was a big boom up here too. Sound like a high power rifle or shotgun something.
Yeah, wonder what it was.
I don't know. But it's like you said, it is windy, it is foggy, there's water pooling on the road, so everybody be careful, don't follow too close, and don't have your bright lights on and blind everybody, because it's messy out there this morning. Perfect condition for an accident.
Yes.
Well, 45 degrees, I think I might have said that, and the fire department was all quiet the past 24 hours and over the weekend, so we're thankful for that. And that don't have any birthdays that I know of. Still needing Pilgrim Way's birthday calendar, so I'll try to get in touch with him today and see if I can get it. If anybody out there listening, we'll let him know. He'll get it to me quicker, probably. We're just calm, cool, and quiet.
All right.
Waiting on the storm to pass through.
Keep me safe till the storm passes by.
That's right.
You have a wonderful day up there, Tina, and keep your eye on things for us, and we'll check back in with you tomorrow.
Okay, everybody be safe, and God bless you.
It's 7:37. That's Tina White reporting out of Shingle Hollow Fire District. We're going up to Union Mills to get to Cali Report in just a moment.
Your car's best friend can be RS Speedy Lube Service Center. That's because RS Speedy Lube Service Center and Car Wash can keep your car or truck running clean with a regular oil change. They check the fluids and vacuum out the car and have you on your way in no time. Go next door for a radiator or transmission flush, brakes, exhaust, CV joints, and service for big trucks and campers also available. Pull next door to the RS Speedy Automatic Car Wash and make your car happy with a clean, all under and all over car wash. It's all at RS Service Center and Car Wash on Railroad Avenue in Rutherfordton.
Nobody gets a better deal than the customers at Sisk Family Ford. They have a proven record of the best deals. Sisk Family Ford, Rutherford County's only locally owned new car dealer, has recently been recognized as the #1 Ford dealer in customer satisfaction in the Southeast. That speaks well of their commitment to serve their customers well. Look for all the new design 2021 F-150 at Rutherford County's only locally owned new car dealership. That's Sisk Family Ford, Oak Street, Forest City. Now it's upstate Union Mills, where we're going next to get the Kelly Report from Brenda Kelly. Good morning, Brenda.
Good morning, Jim, on this, I don't know to say magnificent or marvelous Monday morning, but it's good to be alive.
A mysterious Monday morning for sure with this weather.
There you go. That's good. Yeah.
You ever feel like sometimes the wind's going to blow you off that hill?
I weigh too much for it to blow me off the hill. I'm pretty well anchored. But it's blowed. It's woke me up several times during the night. I know I'm easy woke up anyway, and little man had his fan blowing, and I thought, I usually don't hear that fan, and then it went off, and it wasn't just a few seconds to come back on. So I got up and looked. Well, he was gone. He went down to Mama's, left me a note, and that was about 3 o'clock this morning, 2:30, something like that. And so it was blowing like crazy then, and all the clocks was blinking, so I had to reset them.
So your power went off somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere just for a split second, yeah. And then earlier this morning, I was already up, and I got a puzzle going, and it flashed almost like light, and it was bright, but the power didn't go off, so I don't know what's going. It's like you said, it's mysterious.
Yeah, it's very strange. And we've been hearing we've been hearing booms around the area over the weekend too. So I don't know what those are.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody knows what that is. Could let me know what those booms are. We had one this morning about, I guess it was about 5:45.
Yeah. Well.
No, it's earlier than that. It's about 4:45, I guess. By 4:45, because.
Yeah, 5:45. You was almost at the
I was already
station.
here. Yeah, I was already here.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't know of anything going on. I've got 38 degrees on the front porch. I don't have any birthdays, any anniversaries. So everybody just needs to be careful today because it's a bad day.
Yes.
We don't need to be out unless we just absolutely have to. And did you eat your black-eyed peas and collard greens and all that for the new year?
Well, I didn't eat. We had crowder peas. I like those.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah, we had crowder peas and greens. Yeah, we had some greens, not turnip greens, but we had some green stuff.
I had collard greens and black-eyed peas and pork loin and stewed chicken with rice and cornbread and all that.
Oh, that sounds good.
And I had a couple. My friend and her husband over, and my daughter, and we just ate and ate and ate like we had good sense.
Well, I tell you, nothing like a good weekend to kick in with good food.
That's right. But I don't know of anything going on, so I guess you better go check on Luke the Sweet Thing Gilligan, see if Ellenburg's still on the map.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, catch you later.
Bye.
Jim, have you seen Henson Building Materials' newly remodeled showroom? It's gorgeous.
You mean where they have a full line of hardware and building materials for homeowners and home builders?
I mean where Jamie, Terry, and Tony, their friendly staff, treat me like family. Oh, they're so nice.
Hey, are they taking COVID precautions and have curbside service?
Of course. They're so thoughtful.
I do need some materials, but I don't think they'll fit in our car.
Oh, silly. They have professional delivery so we can get whatever I want.
Henson Building Materials, 177 Duke Street in Forest City.
Building starts here.
All right, we're heading toward Ellenboro. Ellenboro now. Luther Gilligan's on the phone to give us an update from his town. Luther, good morning.
Good morning. We're having a good morning down here. It's rather damp, but it's a good morning. When I got up, got my boots on, stand up, so that started a good day.
Well, good for you. Your year's going to be great.
Yeah, but it's, over the weekend, the fire department had 3 medical calls, had 1 automobile fire. They're out now on a tree down on 74 West. They said we're waiting on DOT in Bell South because it's down on telephone line, not power lines, on the phone line. So they're waiting on DOT to get up there and telephone company to get up there yet.
Business 74 or the bypass 74?
Business 74, up about Fairhaven, up in that area somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
Don't know exactly where, but they're up that area.
Folks
somewhere.
need to avoid that area then this morning, I guess.
Yeah, stay away from that area if you can. Get out of or plan for it. Because you have a delay up there. But other than that, things are going quiet. There's just not a whole lot going on. We're just getting some of that badly needed moisture in the ground. So other than that, you have a great day up there. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, Luther. Have a good day.
Take care now.
Bye. Well, that's a wrap up for the county. Around the county, looks like it's pretty much same condition weather-wise all over the area. And we'll keep our eye on the weather pattern for you because it is going to be changing. The temperature is going to be continuing to drop throughout the morning. Already it's 40. We started out this morning at 45. Then we dropped to 42. Now it's down to 40. So it's going to start dropping throughout the day today, and by tonight, we're expecting it to be as low as 21. 21, and this weather advisory, wind advisory is in effect until about noon today. It's time for birthdays and anniversaries on this Monday, the 3rd day of January. Call us now at 287-3356, and we'll celebrate with you, give you a big shout-out. Tracy is standing by out there to take your call. She gets lonely when the phone doesn't ring, so give her a call for birthdays and anniversaries right now at 287-3356. You know, nothing strikes fear in the hearts of people more than receiving an IRS audit letter in the mail. Audits take much time away from your business and family, requiring you to gather mounds of records and can become overwhelming unless you have someone you can depend on to take care of that for you. That's why we can recommend IE Accounting and Tax Service. Chris and his team of professionals are in the business to help. Even if you depended on someone else to prepare your taxes, IE Accounting and Tax Service will be glad to assist you or your company. Don't hesitate to call. As a small business owner, you have more important things to do than keep your own books. Why not let IE Accounting and Tax Service take care of that for you so you can get back to the job of running your business? Consider their payroll solutions for your business, cash flow management, litigation support, and forensic investigation. Why not give them a call and see what they can do for your business? Here's that phone number, 828-395-1777. They're at 211 West Main Street, Spindale. Again, that's 395-1777, and it's spelled A-R-Y-E-E. Right there on Main Street, A-R-Y-E-E. Go see them for your taxes this year, and any questions you might have, they can help you with that. Now, if you've been waiting for a good hot breakfast from Granny B's this morning, I'm sorry, you'll have to wait until tomorrow. They're closed on Mondays, but open from Tuesday through Saturday with the best breakfast you could possibly want. They got all your varieties, plus those delicious daylight donuts, plus throughout the day. Throughout the day, each day, Tuesday through Saturday, you can order that delicious sub with all the elements on it that you want. They'll give you a choice of what you want to put on it. And you can also order a pizza. It's just a great place to make that your regular stop for Granny B's there in Spindale, right next door to the Shake Shop.
Happy birthday.
Well, Adonis Toms had a birthday yesterday. We were not here to do that, so we'll give her a big shout-out this morning. Adonis Toms, happy birthday, belated on this 3rd day of January. So we want you to have a great, great day and many more happy returns. Stand by for Keys to Confident Living coming up. They will take you down memory lane with some classic oldies for you to remember how it used to be.
This morning as I was walking down by the river, I came upon a host of seagulls and ducks on the sidewalk and grassy area. There were hundreds of them. As I approached these birds, they slowly and hesitantly began to move or fly away. I wouldn't have minded if they had stayed right there where they were, and I intended them no harm. But they were frightened away by my intrusion. My size was too threatening, and I wasn't one of them. Is there any way I could have been accepted by these birds? Of necessity, I would need to become one of them in order to be fully accepted by them. I would need to take on their looks, characteristics, habits, and practices. I would need to become a bird. Therein is the marvel of Christmas. God did that very thing. He became like the ones He wanted to help. He became like one of us. Jesus was God in the flesh. God was seen as too powerful and holy to walk freely among us. Man was afraid of him. They ran for cover and cowered in fear when God drew close, much like the birds did when I walked into their midst. For men to truly get to know God, he would need to become like them. The Old Testament prophet Isaiah said, "She will call his name Emmanuel." The name means God with us. Thus we celebrate Christmas the day Jesus was born. So much did God identify with us that Jesus said, "If you have seen me, you have seen what God is like." This is Bill Hostler, and this has been today's key to confident living.
Get news, sports, weather, and local streaming from our website at www.
ABC News. I'm Dave Packer. It's a double whammy. Severe weather and staff shortages throwing airline schedules into chaos. Over 1,800 U.S. flights already canceled on this busy travel day. Krista Steffel and her family were stuck in Tampa for hours Sunday before finally reaching their destination in the Cayman Islands overnight.
All in all, we were in the Tampa airport probably between 4.5 and 5 hours.
ABC News transportation correspondent Gio Benitez at New York's LaGuardia Airport says stay fast and flexible.
Make sure you have that airline app on your phone ready to go, or use the website to make any of those last-minute changes. You may also want to consider buying a second fully refundable ticket. That way you have a backup if anything happens with your flight, but you then could go ahead and just get a full refund if you just don't need that flight.
The severe weather causing the travel headaches is slamming the East Coast this morning from Georgia to New Jersey. ABC Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z.
So many states are impacted right now, from Alabama that had up to 6 inches of snow, Asheville, North Carolina, just west of them, they had up to 5 inches of snow, and of course some power outages even, because you'll get some gusty winds with this storm that's sliding up the coast.
A search in Colorado after the wildfire that destroyed nearly 1,000 homes in Boulder County.
Authorities searching for 2 people still missing, now feared dead, in the devastating fire near Boulder, Colorado. Snow now making efforts more difficult. Residents measuring the scope of their immense loss.
There's so many things that we've had for 30, 50 years that are gone now.
So many families now homeless.
I can buy new books, I can buy new furniture, but it's really hard to build back a community.
Many left with nothing but the clothes on their backs.
ABC's Irene Shaw in Louisville, Colorado. A man under arrest for arson in connection with a fire that destroyed the Parliament building in South Africa. The building burned for more than 12 hours. No casualties reported. You're listening to ABC News.
With the stock market at all-time highs, cash in your profits now and invest in an asset that can potentially pay for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC-defined accredited investor, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects. Call now to learn how you can potentially achieve 20 or more years of income and deduct 100% of every dollar invested against all forms of income. Call 1-800-278-7455. Invest in your future and buy oil. Encore is drilling in an area that is potentially one of the most prolific horizontal oil plays in the entire country. Oil prices are projected to rise, so you need to own a piece of an oil field. Encore Energy is the most active oil and gas operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 1-800-278-7455. You'll be calling directly to the home office of Encore Energy. That's 1-800-278-7455. Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary.
Sub-freezing temperatures across Texas this morning reminding residents of last winter's deadly cold snap. Officials issuing their final report on fatalities from that Arctic cold.
The 246 people who died as a result of February's severe weather ranged in age from less than 1 year to 102 years old. 2/3, according to the Department of State Health Services, were the result of hypothermia, simply freezing to death. The Texas power grid essentially collapsed in the cold, leaving some without electricity for weeks.
ABC's Jim Ryan in Dallas. Later this month, there's a hearing for an Illinois murder convict.
After reading a 6-page handwritten motion from Drew Peterson to throw out the verdict against him, Will County Judge Edward Bermilla says he found a gist of a constitutional claim. The ex-Chicago area police sergeant convicted in 2012 of killing his third wife, convicted of plotting to kill the prosecutor in the case, suspected in the murder of his fourth wife, who's long disappeared. Total sentence, 78 years. Peterson alleged his lawyer was no good, misconduct by the prosecutor, witness intimidation. The judge assigns him an attorney and 2 investigators from the Public Defender's Office. Chuck Severson, ABC News.
Brazil's president is in the hospital this morning, a suspected intestinal blockage, according to Brazilian media. Jair Bolsonaro has had several stomach surgeries since he was stabbed at a political rally in 2018. This is ABC News.
Millions of people use Zoom Phone, the innovative and feature-rich cloud phone system for businesses of any size. Zoom Phone is simple to use, whether you're on a mobile device, desktop, laptop, or desk phone. And because every call is important to your business, Zoom Phone was built with reliability in mind, using geographic redundancy to keep your communications online. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Visit zoom.com/phone system. Zoom, how the world connects.
Dave Packer, ABC News.
We're tracking this area of low pressure that's going to increase the flooding threat, bring some gusty winds around 45 miles per hour today, and rain and snow, especially across areas to the north. We are likely to see some of that stick in some of our northern counties. Otherwise, it's too warm, especially on the ground, to see any of that accumulate for areas to the south. Highs heading into the upper 30s and lower 40s for today. Tonight will be cold in the low to upper 20s. Meteorologist Peter Sherwood in the Weather Center.
Well, I've never seen the thermometer drop so fast as it is right this morning. It started out at 45. We dropped to 42. Now it's 39. And our expected low tonight is 21. So it's dropping already today. And we're on our way to a low of 21 tonight at 39 right now. If that rain continues, who knows what this rain may turn into. I'm happy to have my friend Tom Roop on the phone. He's our weather observer for the county, and he takes notes of all these things. Tom, good morning.
Good morning. How's everybody today?
Great. Have you had a chance to check the rain gauge this morning?
Yes, I have, and it was quite a lot of rain. One of my stations in Forest City, Northwest, they reported almost 2.5 inches of rain, and several other stations over an inch and a half in most cases. And I recorded here 1.770. And the last 2 days we've had more rain yesterday and today than we got for the entire month of November and December. So.
Wow.
We're in a catch-up mode here.
Wow. And it rained pretty heavy overnight, too, didn't it? It rained pretty hard and long and still raining out there.
Yeah, I think it drizzled most of the time, and it would rain hard at times and let up, but the wind was quite fierce. We had about 25 miles an hour wind gusts here at this location. Of course, I'm surrounded by trees, and that kind of knocks it off a little bit.
Yeah. They're estimating on their forecast wind gust today up to about 40 miles per hour. So that's going to be it could be pretty damaging with limbs falling and breaking.
Yeah, and also it could cause a lot of trees to blow over in the road and block the road, so everybody needs to be careful about that. I've had a chance to do my annual recap, if you want to hear that real quick.
Yes, please.
The low for 2021 was 26 degrees, and that occurred on February the 4th. And the high was 94, and that occurred on July the 30th, and we had a total of 50 inches of rain last year, 50.45, and the normal is 55.20. So we come up with a shortage of 4.75 inches overall. So hopefully we can make that up.
Tom, I don't believe I ever recall seeing the temperature drop as fast as it's dropping this morning. It started out here at 45, now it's 39, and supposedly ended up about 21 by tonight. Is that going to be a factor with this rain maybe turning into ice?
Well, it's the front that's come across diagonally across the United States from Louisiana all the way up to Missouri, and it drug across, and it brought tornadoes and snow and cold weather, and the wind chill dropped. So that's what's happening to us right now. This front is moving through, so maybe by tomorrow it may start to moderate to regular January temperatures, but right now it's weird.
Yeah, it's crazy weather. Well, I appreciate you keeping all those stats for us. We can check in with you from time to time, and we may during the wintertime, we may have to call you periodically to check on what's happening in the weather, and we started getting some snow. We'll certainly check with you.
Yeah, well, most of the time I'm here and available. The National Weather Service always likes to hear from me as well, so I'm devoted to our local folks, and that's what I'm here for.
Thanks, Tom, so much. You have a great day, and a Happy New Year to you.
Okay, Happy New Year to you and yours.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Well, it's always good to talk with somebody who keeps those stats for the Weather Bureau. It's interesting to see how those things, lowest was February 4th at 26 degrees, and the highest was 94 July 30th. So that's interesting. Now we're going to check in with the employment job market over there, find out where some jobs are for us. We like to do that on Mondays, and we'll see where they are, and you can go get them today and this week, whenever the case happens to be. So, and we're happy to have Anita with us on this Monday after New Year's. Anita, Happy New Year to you, and good morning.
Good morning. You doing all right on this Wednesday morning?
Oh, I tell you, it blew me right in here this morning.
I hear you. My car got spun a little bit, too.
Yeah.
Well, we have a wire welder out in Forest City. We have an assembler, too, in Spindale that does require a high school diploma and a month's experience. We have a material handler in Spindle also. They require high school but no experience. We have a assembler 2 dialectics in Spindale, high school diploma and no experience. We have an economic recovery program tax support person in Rutherford, $31,000 to $48,000 a year, requires a bachelor's degree and a year's experience. A trim press operator in Rutherford, $14 to $18 an hour, no experience, no education requirements. An income maintenance caseworker in Spindale, $34,667 beginning. That does require high school diploma and 3 years experience. We have a licensed practical nurse out in Forest City. The pay is dependent on experience. You have to have that nursing license. We have a registered nurse in Forest City. The pay is starting at $38 an hour, and that does require 2 years of college with the nursing license and a year experience. A machine operator out in Columbus. No experience, no education. The pay is dependent on experience, though. We have a manufacturing technician in Rutherford. It's $19.22 to $22.95 an hour. That does require a high school diploma and a year's experience. We have a CNA PRN in Forest City, $15 to $19 an hour. Requires a high school diploma and a year's experience. A quality engineer out in Forest City that does require a bachelor's degree and 3 years experience. And a carpenter in Rutherford, and that requires 2 years experience. But also next week? Yeah, next week. Next Wednesday from 10 to 1, we're having a hiring event here in our office. And also this Wednesday, it's a virtual workshop you can join. We can send you the link to join. It is a resume workshop at 10 o'clock in the morning. And next Tuesday, we have an interviewing workshop at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so for more information about any of these jobs and the workshops and the hiring event, just give us a call here at 223 on Charlotte Road in Rutherford. Our number is 286-3042, or just come by and see us. We're here all week.
You folks do good work over there. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're so available for us.
You have a good afternoon.
Thanks, you too, and I'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye. That's Job Market Report, doing good stuff for people that need help with getting jobs and help in writing resumes and things like that. Go to it. 13 minutes after 8 o'clock, we'll have some news from here and there in just a moment.
You need an insurance agent you can talk to? Call Insurance Service Associates at 828-245-5301. We want to help you get the best out of your insurance dollar. As a trusted choice independent agent, we shop your coverage with several companies to give you the best value. More companies, better choices, best rate. Come see us at our new office at 245 East Main Street in Forest City, or call us at 828-245-5301.
Let's look at some stories from here and there this morning. And Shelby Davis Sarge reporting that Cleveland County Sheriff's Office is investigating a weekend shooting that sent a father and son to the hospital. At around 10:45 p.m. Sunday, sheriff's deputies responded to a call about a shooting in the 400 block of Gants Grove Church Road in Mooresboro. On arrival, officers found Craig Weber, Sr., 52, lying on his bedroom floor with a gunshot wound in his leg. Weber's son, Craig Weber, Jr., 18, was also found in another bedroom with a gunshot wound. Both men were transported to the hospital and on Monday were said to be in stable condition. Sergeant Derek Schaefer with the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office said investigators are still trying to determine who shot at Weber's home and why. We have some possible suspects. We do not have pinned down any who they might be. We believe it is likely to be gang-related, but we cannot say that for sure until we have a suspect, he said. Cleveland County Sheriff Alan Norman said some of the difficulty in finding a suspect has come from an apprehension from neighbors to talk to law enforcement. He said, so we need anybody with any information to come forward. Often in situations like this, we are only as good as information we receive, and some individuals have been reluctant to speak to us. Anyone with information about Sunday shooting can provide it anonymously using Crime Stoppers at 704-481-TIPS. They need your help, and they could use your help. Meanwhile, further updates on the Rutherford County shooting and dismemberment of bodies. The remains of 2 dismembered bodies found Monday were burned. Deputies responded to a call before 2:30 p.m. on Morning Star Lake Road in Forest City 3 days ago now. Sheriff Chris Francis said we're dealing with a burn pile, and I don't know how many hours that burn pile had been active. It was smoldering when we got there on Monday. So we located what we believe were the remains of these 2 victims, what was left, Sheriff Francis said. The 2 victims, believed to be 44-year-old Jason Van Dyke and 42-year-old Tracy McKinney, were found burning in Rutherford County on Monday. Van Dyke's roommate, 34-year-old Matthew Cooley, is charged with murder, 4 counts of hiding a body, and failing to report a death. Sheriff Francis says he's no stranger to law enforcement. I'm familiar with Matthew Thomas Cooley. He's a 34-year-old, and he spent a lot of his adult life in prison, Sheriff said. Sheriff Francis says Cooley served time for drugs and larceny. He says they have reason to believe Cooley is responsible for Van Dyke's murder, but they're still investigating McKinney's. I can personally say that there are family members that love both these victims, and this is difficult. The Rutherford County Sheriff's Office isn't looking for any other suspects at this time. We're not. We are just trying to make sure that we have all the pertinent information to take to the district attorney's office, and if there be any further charges, Sheriff Francis said. He wants everyone in the neighborhood to know that they believe this was an isolated incident. Sheriff Francis says they're still conducting interviews, and the autopsies are scheduled for last Thursday, December 30th. He says it will take a while to get the results back, especially because they're dealing with partial remains. The Rutherford County Detention Center, Cooley is being held without bond. Meanwhile, Greenville police said emergency medical services received a call about a possible cardiac arrest involving a child on Sunday. EMS called police to assist with the emergency call. Officers and EMS arrived at 1802 Kennedy Circle and found the child. Police said the child was transported to Vidant Medical Center and later died. Officers arrested Danny Smith Jr. Smith is charged with involuntary manslaughter, felony child abuse, inflicting serious bodily injury, and misdemeanor larceny. Law enforcement said Smith is the father of the 3-year-old child. The incident has been labeled as a suspicious death and is currently under investigation. Died of a possible cardiac arrest at that young age, 3 years old. That's a sad thing to start a new year with, huh? All right, we'll have the sheriff's report again with Officer King coming up here in just a few minutes. You know, there is a lot of misleading information about Medicaid eligibility. The Arledge Law Firm would like for you to know the truth. For instance, if you need a nursing home, Medicaid will take your home. That's not true. Another one is, if you transfer assets, you have to wait 60 months to qualify. Again, not true. And this big one, if you're already in a nursing home, it's too late to protect your assets. Not true, not true, not true. Call attorneys Gerald N. Willis, Kent Baldwin, or Martin Gerard at the Arledge Law Firm and get free consultation and learn the truth. It's more likely than you think that you may qualify for nursing home care and not lose everything you own. It's worth a call to Arledge Law Firm at 287-3338, located on East Court Street in Rutherfordton.
At Smith Drugs of Forest City, we are continuing to offer the COVID-19 rapid testing and the COVID-19 vaccinations. Please call our pharmacy at 828-245-4591 with any questions or concerns that you may have. You may also visit our website at smithsdrugsfc.com and schedule your COVID rapid 19 test or your vaccination. Again, if you have any questions, please call our pharmacy at 828-245-4591.
It's that time again, time to get the flu vaccines. And Smith's Drugs in 4A City has the flu vaccinations available. Walk-ins Monday through Friday and Saturdays by appointment. And Smith's Drug is asking all their Dream Station and System 1 CPAP customers to call if you need any help with registering your recalled devices. Just call the Home Medical Department for any help or with questions at 828-245-4591. And Smith's Drugs has the Moderna and Pfizer initial shots and the boosters. They also have the flu vaccines at Smith's Drugs of 4A City.
Well, what words would you like to see banished from use this year after last year or year before? A lot of words have been overused. Here's a list, a partial list. An annual tradition includes phrases that are misused, overused, or useless. And WorldNet Daily has put out a few of these. UPI, the phrases wait, what? And no worries are now on a list of banished words for 2022 published by Michigan University on Friday. Following tradition, Lake Superior State University has listed 10 words of phrases it deemed misused, overused, and useless for 2022. Wait, what? Topped that list, a decision that officials defended by stating that the two four-letter words should not go together under any circumstances. Wait, what? Other phrases included the new normal, you're on mute, asking for a friend, supply chain, at the end of the day, that being said, circle back, and deep dive. Those are the ones they did this report on, and they think those should be removed. I've got a few others, like COVID, booster, those kind of things. But we'll find out maybe later some other words that you think might be appropriate to disband. There was a bank that handed out $175 million by mistake. A bank in the UK accidentally gave out the equivalent of $175 million to customers in an error on Christmas Day. Can you believe it? CNN reported this. The bank, Santander, apologized for the mistake and said it would work to fix duplicate payments. We're sorry that due to a technical issue, some payments from our corporate clients were incorrectly duplicated on the recipient's amounts. Santander said, CNN reported, none of our clients were at any point left out of pocket. As a result, we will be working hard with any banks across the UK to recover the duplicated transactions over the coming days. Can you believe how much money that is to find out $175 million? Well, 22 past the hour. Our report from the Sheriff's Department this morning was given to us by Officer King, and we have recorded it for broadcast at this time.
In the past 48 hours, Sheriff's Office responded to 248 calls for service. There were 12 arrests processed in the jail, and the jail currently has 160 people incarcerated. On our incident reports, Jonah Adkins from Old 74 Highway in Bostic reported damage to property. Gavin Boggs from Lookout Drive in Forest City reported misdemeanor larceny. And Randy Brown from Ledford Road in Ellenboro reported damage to property. On our arrest reports, Travail Shade from Glover Road in Ellenboro was arrested, charged with possession of firearm by felon. No bond listed this time on that one. Danielle Calamai from Dean Lane in Newland, North Carolina, was served with warrants for possession of a controlled substance in jail or prison and a misdemeanor probation violation. Received a $2,000 unsecured bond. And Joshua Barden from Highway 108 in Rutherford was served with a failure to appear on misdemeanor. Received a $500 secured bond. That's all we have for today.
Get news, sports, weather, and local streaming from our website at www.wcab59.com. WCAB, the only radio station you should ever need.
This is Gilbert. I'm back on the air every Saturday from 8 to 9. So put on a pot of coffee, sit down, and listen to Gilbert Talks Taxes. You just might learn something.
Absolutely. Entertaining program, whether you have a tax problem or not, is worth listening to because it's so entertaining and so informative. That's every Saturday morning right after the Call Around Report here on 100.9 FM, 590 AM, WCAB. Folks, have a wonderful day. I'll see you back here bright and early tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, here's sports.
NTN Sports, I'm Josh Zach. Sam Darnold started in place of Cam Newton Sunday and completed his first 9 passes, the first time in his career he's ever done that, and he led the Panthers on scoring drives during his first 2 series. But the Panthers did not score again and ended up losing to the Saints 18-10. Head coach Matt Rule, after coaching the Panthers to their 6th consecutive loss.
Obviously disappointed with the result. I thought after a tough week, COVID and guys in, guys out, adjusted practice schedules, lots of distractions. I couldn't be more pleased with the effort, but certainly not the result. I thought we had our opportunities to win the football game in the end. Our inability to really kind of protect the quarterback certainly will show up as one of the main stats. Did have a chance to take the lead there in the fourth quarter. Unfortunately missed the field goal. They answered it and didn't go our way.
Elsewhere in the division,
we have an incident down here with Antonio Brown. He is upset about something, Gene, and I've never seen this. He has taken his uniform, his shoulder pads off, and he has run to the Buccaneer locker room. So we'll get you an update. He's not hurt. He has decided to run to the locker room on his own.
Antonio Brown doing a Ned Braden along the sidelines yesterday, ripping off his equipment as he ran to the locker room in the third quarter of the Bucs win against the Jets, 28-24 the final. Head coach Bruce Arians told reporters after the game,
he is no longer a Buck. All right, that's the end of the story. Let's talk about the guys that went out there and won the game.
ESPN said Brown did not fly back on the team plane to Tampa. The AFC East leading Buffalo Bills rallied to clinch their 3rd consecutive playoff berth Sunday with a 29-15 win over the Falcons. Philadelphia clinched a playoff spot, rallying to beat Washington 20-16. The Cardinals beat the Cowboys. Kansas City's 8-game winning streak ended as they lost the pole position in the AFC playoff race to their loss at Cincinnati. The Titans now the top seed as they ended Miami's 7-game winning streak. This is NTN Sports.
If the power goes out for your business, are you prepared with a backup? Without electricity, security systems go down, refrigerated items spoil, and customers are turned away. In other words, your business loses money. Control your power. Control your business with a Generac automatic standby generator. Alternative Power is North Carolina's Generac generator experts. In fact, all Alternative Power does is provide backup power. Financing options are available. See more at alternativepower.com. Services.
Alternative Power knows more is happening at home now than ever. And when a winter storm causes your power to go out, life is disrupted. A Generac automatic standby generator from Alternative Power guards the home against blackouts caused by weather of all types. Financing options are available. And act now for a free 10-year warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Gain peace of mind with a Generac automatic standby generator. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts. See more at alternativepower.com.
NBA action on Sunday. The shorthanded Suns hammer the Hornets 133-99. On the college hardcourt, Tar Heels rolled past Boston College 91-65. On the ice, the Hurricanes idle Sunday after rallying to beat the Blue Jackets 7-4 in Columbus. The Canes were slated to take on the Maple Leafs tonight, but last week the NHL postponed the game due to COVID restrictions in certain Canadian cities that limit attendance. Meanwhile, attendance at NHL games was key to saving a life.
Vancouver Canucks assistant equipment man Brian Red Hamilton says it happened during an NHL game in late October. An unnerving interaction with a fan in Seattle.
She'd put her phone up to the glass, and on the phone it said, "The mole on the back of your neck is cancer."
Turns out it was a malignant melanoma that has since been successfully treated. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
Josh Zach, NCN Sports.
We're tracking this area of low pressure that's going to increase the flooding threat, bring some gusty winds around 45 miles per hour today, and rain and snow, especially across areas to the north. We are likely to see some of that stick in some of our northern counties. Otherwise, it's too warm, especially on the ground, to see any of that accumulate for areas to the south. Highs heading into the upper 30s and lower 40s for today. Tonight will be cold in the low to upper 20s. Meteorologist Peter Sherwood in the Weather Center.
Our temperature has dropped 7 degrees since 5:30 this morning. It's now down to 38 degrees and continued to drop throughout today. As she said, 27 expected to be our low this evening. We're under that wind advisory until about noon today, so please watch out for that and watch out for any heavy winds that may blow limbs down and trees down, and also watch out for the puddles of water and the hydroplaning that could take place Just be careful, drive carefully, and be observant to what's around you. Right now, again, 39 degrees. This is WCAB Rutherford, serving the foothills of the Carolinas from 100.9 FM, 590 AM, WCAB. It's time now for the Word of Faith Fellowship radio program, and with the program this morning is Samuel and Caroline Staton.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for listening today. This is Samuel, and I'm here with my wife, Caroline, and we're just happy to have another opportunity to come to you and share with you just a little bit of what God has been doing in our lives and speaking to us. And I know for sure this program is something that's really special to our hearts because it's something that God has been teaching us just in the last couple weeks and really changing our hearts and showing us how much He loves us and how faithful He is to us. And I want to start in Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. And before I read that verse, anyone who's listening to us today, just open your heart, because I know there's people that will be listening to us who you have something in your life that you've been asking God for, maybe some material thing that you need, or a miracle that you need, a healing, a deliverance, whatever it may be. And, you know, God's done so many things for us. We're going to share some examples of what God's done in our lives. And I know if He can do it for us, He'll do it for anyone who's listening. So just open your heart, listen with us today, and let's expect God to do something in our lives. And I want to start with this verse, Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. And it says, "But those who wait for the Lord, who expect, look for, and hope in Him, shall change and renew their strength and power. They shall lift their wings and mount up close to God as eagles mount up to the sun. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint or become tired." And that was a verse that God gave me recently because we had an example in our lives. I own my own business. I'm a CPA, and we've had an office. It's been a very nice office that we've been in for quite a few years. But we really felt over the last couple years that it was time for us to get really our own place. We rented that office. And so it's been a long search, and we've been looking at different possibilities. And for any of you who rent, you know how it is. You have a period of time that you have a lease for, and then the lease renews. And so we had a certain deadline, if you will, as far as when we needed to find a new place. And back 3 years ago, we were looking and really didn't find anything. So we renewed again at the place we're at, and we talked about it and felt that over this next 3-year period of time, we needed to find a place to go. And so especially this past year, we knew time goes so fast, and we knew time was moving on, and we started looking, and different possibilities came up, and we even looked at one point at building. We looked at different pieces of land, and it was just one of these things that every time an idea would come, we'd go look at it and say, well, we can make this work. We could buy this place and fix it up, different things like that. But we never had a peace about any of those options. They just never seemed to work out. And I know probably, would you say in the last 8 months, probably, we really knew we were getting down to the wire, and something needed to happen. Either we were just going to stay where we were, or we were going to find something. And I know in my heart, and this is a real change for me, because I have been one that I always wanted to see the plan. I wanted to see how it worked. I wanted everything to be nicely lined up, and that wasn't happening in this scenario. But I know for me, somewhere in my heart, I gave it to God, and I said, God, I know you have something for us, and I want you to take care of it. And that's what we should do in everything, and that's what I'm learning through this, and that's the point of this example. And I really felt like I did that. And as time went on over the last couple months, again, more things would come up, and I think that probably the most serious was there's one place came up, and I have a realtor friend of mine who's been looking with us, and he actually, and he's a man of God, and he prays, so he was, praying with us and seeking God with us on what we should have that would be ours. And we saw this place and went to look at it, and before we went to look at it, actually, we talked about it, and it really wasn't exactly what we needed, but we thought, we can make it work. We can do this. We had long discussions and planning and putting it all together, and then finally came to the time that we had an opportunity to go look at the place. So we went there, we looked at it, and immediately, as soon as I walked in the door, I realized this is not going to be it. And this is probably, October, was it? Yeah. And so this is in October, and we needed to know something by February, basically. So we had really short period of time by this. And that was a really big thing for me to be able to turn around and walk away from that, because it's one of those things where you felt like if this doesn't work, there's nothing else that's going to work. There's not going to be enough time. And in my mind, I was wanting to make that work because I just needed something. But yet in my heart, and that's where you always got to go to, what's in your heart? What's God speaking to your heart? I knew that wasn't right, and we just turned around and we walked away from that. And then probably about 2 weeks ago, I had actually really honestly had not thought about it much at all since that point. And about 2 weeks ago, I got up one morning and God said, just look at the listings for what's available. And I pulled up the listings, and there was one place, actually I'd seen it before and really hadn't given a lot of thought to it, but it had been listed, like we came to find out, like maybe a week before that, it had been listed. And there was a piece that came in my heart. And long story short, we went and looked at it, and it was perfect. And not just perfect, but it had the layout was exactly what we needed. The size was bigger than anything we had looked at before. Location was perfect. I mean, just check every box of what we needed, and it was exactly what we needed. But, I could just stop there and said, that's great. We had that part figured out. Let's move on. But I really haven't done that. I've really, number one, I thank God for what he's done. But more than that, I've let this be a lesson in my life that I want to learn. And that's where God spoke this scripture here in Isaiah 40:31 about waiting on God. Because that was the important part of this whole process, was waiting on God. And I looked back and saw how many times we could have made a decision out of the need that we had in front of us, something needed to take place, and first and foremost, we would have missed out on what God really had for us. And I really believe, I know that everything that God does is the perfect timing, but especially this was a perfect timing, because if God had given us something 8-10 months ago, I don't know that we would have recognized as much of what God was trying to do in our lives, because it would have been like, we need something, okay, here it is. But it's almost like God purposely let us wait to the last minute to show us that when we trust him, he has exactly what we need. And from a timing standpoint, I mean, we're going to be able to get in just in the right time. It's just going to work out perfectly. And I went back and I actually read this whole chapter, because God had spoken this verse to me, but I really wanted to go deeper and say, God, what are you trying to speak to us about waiting on you? And it's very interesting as you read this whole chapter. It starts, and for time's sake, I don't have time to read all the verses, but I would strongly encourage you to go back and read this whole chapter, because it's very, very good. But it starts out just by talking about who God is and how powerful he is. And then in about verse 18, it says, to whom then will you liken God, or with what likeness will you compare him? And it says, the graven image, a workman casts it, and a goldsmith overlays it with gold, and casts silver chains for it. And he who is so impoverished that he has no offering or oblation or rich gift to give to his God is constrained to make a wooden offering, an idol. So he chooses a tree that will not rot. He seeks out a skilled craftsman to carve and set up an image that will not totter or deteriorate. And I just thought about that. I mean, in today's day and age, I don't know that any of us actually make images that we bow down to, but we do in our hearts all the time. I mean, 1 John 5:21 tells us exactly what an idol is. It's anything that takes the place in our heart that's due to God. Anything that we turn to other than God for what we need. And that's exactly what it's saying here. It's saying, in the verses before, explain how big God is and how, the whole earth is his. He created everything. And yet we choose to turn to these idols in our hearts, which, in Ezekiel it says idol of self-will and unsubmissiveness, where we think we know what we need rather than trusting God for what we need. And it says in 21, you worshiper of idols, you are without excuse. Do you not know? Have you not heard? Has it not been told you from the beginning? It says, these things ought to convince you of God's omnipotence and the folly of bowing to idols. Have you not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is God who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers. And then it goes on in the next verses again, just going through how big God is. And skipping down to verse 26, it says, lift up your eyes on high and see, who has created all of this? He who brings out their hosts by number and calls them all by name, through the greatness of his might, and because he is strong in power, not one is missing or lacks anything. That's what God has for us right there. It says he has all of these things all over the earth, but nothing is lacking because of the greatness of God. It says, why, O Jacob, do you say, and this is us, this is what we've said, do you say and declare, Israel, my way and my lot are hidden from the Lord, and my right is passed over without regard for my God? Have you not known? Have you not heard? The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, does not faint or grow weary. There is no searching of his understanding. And there, we've said that. Why is my way and my right passed over without regard for my God? We could have said that. Why is there no place? Why can't we find anything? Why does this seem so difficult? And we could have stopped there and stopped the hand of God from giving us exactly what he needed. But I've learned through this that my way and my right's not passed over from the Lord, because when we turn our hearts to him and we want to serve him with our whole hearts, we can trust him to give us what we need. And it says, have you not known, have you not heard, the everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, does not faint or grow weary. There is no searching of his understanding. He gives power to the faint and weary, and to him who has no might, he increases strength, causing it to multiply and making it to abound. And when we don't wait on God, we wear ourselves out. We work so hard trying to figure out how we're going to make things work. And God is waiting right there with the plan to give us exactly what we need. And so many times we work against him by thinking that we have our own plan. And that's the other thing that I thought about. We've thought, this is what we need. We need this, we need that. And some of those things were what we need. But we didn't even have a comprehension of what God really wanted to give us. And I think so many times we have our own plan and our own purpose of what we think we need. And God is so much bigger than that. He has so much more he wants to give you. But we fight so hard to make happen what we think needs to happen that we stop God from being able to provide that for us. And back in verse 31, expect, look, and hope in him. And that's what we did. I had an expectation, even though that whole time I really thought, I just really don't see how this is going to work. And I know you definitely didn't see how it was going to work. But yet in my heart, I had an expectation that at any moment, God's going to come through. And that's what so touches my heart about this whole situation, is that I can see the result of God, of that expectation that I had in my heart for that whole time, God coming through and blessing us with what we needed, and it just puts that faith in my heart that as I go forward in life, anything that I need, we can expect God and he'll bring it to pass in our lives.
Another passage that Samuel and I were reading was in Psalms 106. And in this passage, it talks about the Israelites and where God brought them out of the land of Egypt, and he was bringing them to the promised land. And it said a land flowing with milk and honey, everything that they needed. But up until then, he did so many things for them. And in Psalms 106, verse 9, it says, he rebuked the Red Sea also, and it dried up. He led them through the depths as through a pasture land. He saved them from the hand of him that hated them, and he redeemed them from the hand of the Egyptian enemy. And the waters covered their adversaries. Not one of them was left. He not only led them through the Red Sea, he gave them manna straight from heaven. He gave them water when they needed something to drink. Every step of the way, God was giving them everything they needed. And it says in verse 12, it says, then Israel believed his words, trusting in, relying on them. They sang his praise. And they recognized what God did for them. But in verse 13, it says, but they hastily forgot his works. They did not earnestly wait for his plans to develop regarding them, but it lusted exceedingly in the wilderness and tempted and tried to restrain God with their insistent desires in the desert. And they did not make it into the promised land except for Joshua and Caleb, because they forgot what God did for them. Everything that God did, they forgot. And they lusted exceedingly in the wilderness, and they tempted God. God wasn't able to provide for them and lead them into the promised land. And that's where I let God, I've learned so much through this, as Samuel was saying, as what God does something for you, don't forget it. Let that be a landmark in your life. I mean, when it seems like there's no way and God parts that Red Sea for you, whether it be something in the natural, whether it be a physical situation, whether you're at death's door and you need God to heal you, if you cry out to God, God will be there. God will be there. And another scripture.
And before you go there, back again in verse 13, it says they didn't wait for his plans to develop regarding them. And I've seen that so many times in my life. You may even see kind of the idea of what needs to happen, but you don't wait for that plan to fully develop. You jump on ahead, you go on ahead and say, well, it's taking too long, got to work it out, got to make that happen, and I even think of the example of Abraham in the Bible. God came and promised him that he was going to have a son, but it took time. I don't know exactly what that length of time was, but he got impatient, and he went to Hagar and made it happen his way. And what did that produce? Ishmael. And that produced years and years of conflict between Ishmael and Jacob, all because in that case Abraham didn't wait for God's plan to develop regarding them. And in the example that we gave, we could have not waited for God's plan to develop. And I just think about that so much. I go by and think, what if we had we're going to make this work. We got to have something. We're going to make it happen.
It would have been much, much heartache. And God wanted to give us way better. And in Psalms 37, starting in verse 3, it says, "Trust, lean on, rely on, and be confident in the Lord, and do good. So shall you dwell in the land and feed surely on his faithfulness, and truly you shall be fed. Delight yourself also in the Lord, and he will give you the desires and secret petitions of your heart." And that's truly what God's done in this situation, and he's done in many times in our life. But do we recognize what God's done for us? And because we knew it was the will of God, God wanted to give us an office. We knew that was God's will. But like he said, we had to wait on God, and it's not always in the timing that you want it to be or you think it to be, but God's ways are perfect. It says, "Commit your way to the Lord. Roll and repose each care of your load on him." And I know that's what we did. We kept crying out to God, "Your will, God. We want your will in this situation." Trust, lean on, rely on, and be confident also in him, and he will bring it to pass. And he will. He will do it for each one of you if you cry out to him. And he says, "And he will make your uprightness and your right standing with God go forth as a light, and your justice and right as the shining of the noonday. Be still and rest in the Lord. Wait for him and patiently lean yourself upon him." And that's what I've learned, is to be patient. Just to be patient, and God knows what's best for you. God knew what was best for us, and he had way better than what we could have ever thought or imagined. And that's what God has for each one of us. But we have to wait on him and hope and believe in him. And there's another scripture that says that if we don't believe and trust in God, then he can't bring his plans to pass. And a lot of times our doubt and unbelief and us not seeking him can hinder God doing what he wants to do for us. And another verse that God gave me was in 2 Peter chapter 3. And like I had mentioned before, sometimes it's not always exactly when we think it should happen, but God, in verse 9, it says, "The Lord does not delay and is not tardy or slow about what he promises, according to some people's conception of slowliness. But he is long-suffering, extraordinarily patient toward you, not desiring that any of you should perish, but that all should turn to repentance." And that's what God has for us. He is not delayed in what he has for us. He did not delay. It was in God's perfect timing. And I'm so grateful that we waited on God and on God's will for this situation. And it's like we said, it's much better than what we would have planned.
And just like it says there, or he's not slow about what he promises, but it says according to some people's conception of slowness, because a lot of times we do think God's slow because it's not happening according to the timetable we think it should happen. And that's where a lot of times we run on ahead of God. But God, as I've been saying, God's timing is so perfect. We said it in this example. I even think back to the time before we even got married, and we had a long period of time between the time we got engaged and the time we got married, and then it just had so many things going on in our lives. We were in college, and it just wasn't the right timing to be a quick thing. But I look back on that, and even though in that time I didn't understand why that time was so long, but yet I'm so grateful for it now, because that was such an important time for us to learn how to, just interact with each other and as we say, take hold of each other. And I helped her with school. She helped me with school. And as I look back, that so helped us as a couple when we got married. It was the time we needed to be prepared for being married, And even though I didn't understand that slowness at that time, I totally understand it now, and I'm grateful for it, And I want to say, too, when we're looking at waiting on God, it doesn't always mean it's got to take a long time. I know that's in the examples we're giving right now. Sometimes it's quick. It may be immediate. But whether it's immediate or it takes a long time, the point is you've got to listen to what God has. I mean, it can happen in a split second, and you can still run on ahead of God by not taking that extra second to say, God, what do you have for me? And being open to receive what he has for you. Or it can take several years. It's in God's timing. But God's timing is perfect because he knows what you need. He knows the work he wants to do in your heart. He knows what pitfalls may be there that you may be avoiding because God's having you wait on something. And in Lamentations chapter 3, this whole book is a prayer by Jeremiah for the people of Israel. God was dealing with them, and he's going through and he's actually really complaining in this sense about why God isn't listening to him and hearing his prayer. And then in verse 21, it seems that he has a heart change at this point, and he says, "But this I recall, and therefore have I hope and expectation. It is because of the Lord's mercy and loving kindness that we are not consumed, because his tender compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great and abundant is your stability and faithfulness. The Lord is my portion or share, says my living being, my inner self. Therefore will I hope in him and wait expectantly for him. The Lord is good to those who wait hopefully and expectantly for him, to those who seek him, inquire of and for him, and require him by right of necessity and on the authority of God's word." And again, the situation in our lives that we may be waiting on, it may be a healing. It may be something that, not like a material thing like we're talking about, but something that is a life-threatening situation, and you've prayed and you've prayed and you've prayed, and it seems like no answer's coming, but it says, if you seek, inquire for and of him by right of necessity and the authority of God's word. That means God's spoken to you. You've put your hope in what God said. You may not see the realization of it in front of your eyes right now, but you know God's spoken. You've got that expectation. This is a promise from God. It says the Lord is good to those who wait. You can be sure of that if your heart is right before God, God will be good to you. And I was just briefly, I was looking at other examples in the Bible of people who waited on God and how God came through for them and how important it was for them to wait. And there's so many, I don't have time to go through all of them, but you look at Joseph. God gave him the dream of what was to come, and it was a long time between that dream and when that actually came to pass. And there was a lot of turns that I'm sure he could have thought, there's no way that what God's spoken to me is going to happen, But I can guarantee you that all of that process that he went through while he waited on God, again, we're learning to wait on God, that whole process prepared him for what God had for him. He couldn't have been the ruler and been able to take the responsibility and authority that he had at the end if he had not let God change his heart in each of those circumstances. And I'm sure he thought during those times, why is this happening? Why is this taking so long? But when you look back on it, you see exactly why, God brought him through that. In another way, but you can look in when the prophet Samuel, the people of Israel wanted a king, and or Saul. This was actually after Saul had been king, and God wanted to select someone else to be king because Saul wasn't serving him, and he sent Jesse to the brothers he sent Samuel to the sons of Jesse to select who was going to be the next king, and all of them were there but David. And he went through the line and he said, "Oh, this must be it." And God said, "No, that's not it." And they went to the next one, went all the way through it, and it was none of them. And that's when he asked Jesse, "Do you have anyone else?" And he said, "Well, yeah, I got David over here in the field tending the sheep." It was almost like he wasn't even considering that. But that's what God had, and that's the way I want to be in my life. I don't want to just look at what looks good in front of me and what seems to make sense and what I can make work, but I want to listen for what and wait for what God has for me. And again, it may not be the thing that seems so obvious in front of you is what God really has for you.
Another passage that God gave me is in James 1, verse 4. It says, "But let endurance and steadfastness and patience have full play and do a thorough work, so that you may be a people perfectly and fully developed, with no defects, lacking in nothing. If any of you is deficient in wisdom, let him ask of the giving God, who gives to everyone liberally and ungrudgingly, without reproaching or fault-finding, and it will be given to him. Only, there's a condition, it must be in faith that he asks, with no wavering, no hesitating, and no doubting. For the one who wavers, hesitates, doubts, is like the billowing surge at sea, that is blown hither and thither and tossed by the wind. For truly, let not such a person imagine that he will receive anything he asks from the Lord. Being as he is a man of two minds, hesitating, dubious, irresolute, he is unstable and unreliable and uncertain about everything he thinks, feels, and decides. And it says that if you doubt that God will do it, he cannot give you what you need. It says, you will not receive anything from the Lord. And that's where I kept my faith in God. I said, God, I trust you. I believe you, even though things seem impossible. And there might be things in your life where it seems impossible. But you keep your faith in God and you cry out to God. And you know you stay on his word. It will come to pass. And the last verse here is, blessed, happy, to be envied is the man who is patient under trial and stands up under temptation. You'll be blessed. For when he has stood the test and been approved, he will receive the victor's crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. And that's what we want. We want to receive what God has for us, but we have to be patient. We have to be steadfast. We have to stand up under the trials that come. When the devil comes and says it's not going to happen, or it's too hard, or to put doubt in your heart, put your faith in God. Trust in him and hope in him, and it will come to pass.
And one other example I was thinking of was the woman with the issue of blood. And we know that it says that she spent all of her money on doctors trying to find the cure, and then she came to Jesus and she went up and touched his garment and she was healed. But I thought of her spending all of her money on physicians, and it says actually it wasn't that she just wasn't cured, but she actually became worse. And I thought, how many times do we do that? We spend all of our money and all of our time trying to figure it all out and make it work instead of waiting on God. And God had the answer right there for her. All she had to do, and she didn't have to pay a dime. She just had to go up to Jesus and touch his garment. And it was that obedience to God that healed her and delivered her from her situation. And there's many, many examples in my life where I've wasted so much time and money and heartache because I haven't waited on God, and God had the answer all along right there. And another really good chapter that goes along with this is Isaiah chapter 55, and I won't have time today to read the whole thing, and that's another chapter I encourage you to go back and read. But I just want to point out one verse there. It's in verse 8. It says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, says the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." And that's what we're seeing. I mean, we look at a tangible example of God's thoughts for us and what he's, in this example that we've had, that what he's given us, and it was so much higher than any of those plans. I mean, we even had a plan to build that we had drawn out, and it was going to be incredibly expensive to do that, but what God gave us is even better than that plan that we sat down and designed, and that's what God has for us. I mean, it's just so much higher than our thoughts. And it says, "For as the rain and snow come down from heaven and return not there again, but water the earth and make it bring forth and sprout, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goes forth from my mouth. It shall not return to me void, without producing any effect, useless, but it shall accomplish that which I please and purpose, and it shall prosper in the thing for which I sent." And that's exactly what we're seeing. God had spoken to us 3 years ago that he would do something for us, and he's done it. Not in the way and the time that we thought it was going to happen, but he did it, and he came through, and his word didn't return to him void without producing the fruit that he had for us. And I'll just mention it, Jeremiah chapter 29, everyone knows this verse, but it says that God knows the thoughts and plans that he has for us, thoughts and plans for welfare and peace and not for evil. And that's what God has for each one of us. And it really has been a privilege and a blessing to spend this time being able to share what God's done in our lives. And like I said at the beginning, I know there's people listening today that you have something in your life that you've been longing for, that you're desperate for something that God has promised you or something that you need in your life. And we just encourage you, cry out to God and wait for God. Don't run on ahead of him and try to figure it out your way. God has a plan. He knows what you need. And learn to recognize in the meantime, while you wait for God to show up on your behalf, let him do the work in your heart that he wants to do to change your heart. So we pray for each one of you today that God will work in your life just as he's working in our lives. We thank you again for listening. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. on WCAB. You can go to our website, wordoffaithfellowship.org, and listen to all of our radio programs. Thank you so much, and have a blessed day.
The music's on us on WCAB.
Sheer number of cases is less important.
As you get further on and the infections become less severe, it is much more relevant to focus on the hospitalizations as opposed to the total number of cases.